The Gold Mine, aka PR Taylor. So I'm having an issue with my camera, so I'm going live. The show must go on, and I got some things I want to talk to you about. Look, today I'm going to, well, first of all, let me say I want to thank all my subscribers and people that have watched the channel, that have posted, that hit the notifications bell and everything else. I appreciate you. Just hang in there with me. I'm having issues with this camera. I don't know. I think it's the phone camera is great, but I'm having a little bit of issues with trying to post things. So I'm just going to go live and see what I have to say, and hopefully that you'll be able to pick up on this. Maybe if you can see it later. We're just going to keep this channel rolling. We are aiming for, and I believe we are going to attain it, 1,000 subscribers, and that will put me in to the YouTube family for real. You know what I mean? That puts me in there, you know, with the guys that are the guys that are swinging the big bats a little bit, you know. And I appreciate it if you like what you're going to hear today, that you like and subscribe. And I've got a lot of interesting things to tell you today. It's not going to be super long, but some things that I've observed, my perceptions of things, and I think it's a little different. We want to talk today about a major pendulum. What a pendulum is, okay, pendulum is something that kind of swings and takes you off of your course. They talk about it in transurfing. The pendulum can be, a family member. A pendulum can be, even a workplace or something. It takes you emotionally off of where you want to go, and it takes you away from your goals. And one of the major pendulums is television. Not just television, but maybe media. But television is the granddaddy of how they use manipulation and everything. And this is not really about conspiracy theory. This is about really facts. And it's a game out here. If people know certain things that you don't understand about your mind, that they do, they may use it against you. You have to know something about how your mind works, right? Congornort. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Yes, sir. I am not old, but that is a privilege not given to many. I know many people that are not old, and they are no longer here. So, anyway, I appreciate that. So anyway, what I want to talk about is again the television. So, I don't watch television. I don't have a television. I haven't had one for 20 years, and for a number of reasons. Now, I may be in a situation where I'm living in a house with, family or friends or whatever, and they have a television, and I may occasionally sit down and watch a couple of things with them, but I move on, right? Because number one, it eats a lot of my time up, and I realize the most valuable thing that you have is your time. It's not your money. It's not your savings. It's not your stocks, your bonds, whatever it is. It's your time. That's why they talk about you getting on media, social media, and all that and every kind of thing. If you're going to get on these things, then make those things work for you, moving you towards your goals, right? So that's the first thing. So the first thing I want to tell you about television is we have something called prime time. Now you wonder why they call it prime time. They call it prime time because it's between 7 and 11, right? And between 7 and 11 is the time before you just go to sleep, right? Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, so if you're familiar with Neville Goddard, and if you're not familiar with Neville Goddard, I would suggest you get some of his books. What he said is your subconscious mind is most susceptible to suggestion before you go to sleep, right? And what is that? That's like 11 maybe 9, whatever it is. So you are suggestible just before you go. So those hours before you go to sleep, you're very open, right? That's him. Now the next person that said this was Joe Dispenza. And Joe Dispenza said there are two periods in your life when your subconscious mind is most open. Number one is between the ages of being newborn and 7. So your mind is basically shaped, and your subconscious mind is taking in everything, and everything that your parents tell you and people tell you, you believe. So you all that have newborns, be very careful about what you're telling your children between the ages of 0 and 7. They believe everything you tell them because subconscious mind is open. Okay. And so he also said the next period that your subconscious mind is most open is before you go to sleep, just like Neville Goddard said. This has been scientifically proven, right? So again, just before you go to sleep, 7 and 11. That's why they call it prime time. And what do they call it? They call it programming. So what are they doing? They're dropping things in to your subconscious mind. And I'm going to show you how they do that. I'm going to show you how that works. So you have to be on guard. Now, is this a conspiracy theory? Absolutely not. No conspiracy theory here. They just understand, they in marketing and advertising, they spend billions of dollars on how the mind works because they're trying to sell products. That's what they do, right? And it's up to you to understand how your mind works. The thing is, we go to school and we learn how this works and that works, but the most valuable thing you have is this. If you don't understand how your mind works, and you don't understand how your emotions work, and you don't understand how you work, you don't understand these things, then it can be used against you. What was written above the temple walls? What was written above the temple walls was know thyself, right? And knowing thyself means knowing what you really are. You're not your personality, you're not your mind, you are divine energy inside of a body, okay? We can go into that in another post, right? But knowing thyself, understand how the mind works, how the emotions work, how the body works. This is the temple, how things work, right? And since everything that you think and everything that you feel that emanates from you creates your perception of reality and your reality, then having an understanding of that means that you become a master. Let's see. So, okay. So that's what the first reason, right? You understand that's prime time. That's when TV programming, listen to that word, occurs, right? That's when the programming occurs. What are they programming? They're running programs, right? What kind of programs, you know? So be on guard for that reason. The next thing is, like I said, they eat your time up, you know? The next thing I would say is you're coming, so what, most of the time people get home, what, about 6, 7? So they're gonna eat dinner. And when you eat dinner, what happens when you eat dinner? Your food goes in your stomach and the blood goes to your stomach. It leaves your head. So you're not thinking. You're in a susceptible point where you're not thinking. You're all cloudy and you're laid and everything, and they just, again, they can drop stuff in, in there because you're in a weak position, right? So that's another thing to consider. That's why they sell it as prime time. When they selling commercial time on television, they sell it mostly at that time, right? Okay, that's another thing. And this one, what happens when you get to work? You're tired. So naturally, your defenses are down and you're not thinking, right? You're tired, and also people can say all kinds of stuff to you. You're tired. Yeah, okay, sure, I'll go with it and everything. And your reasoning factor is down. Critical factor, critical thinking factor is down. So, again, they can plant stuff in there. And, no conspiracy here. That's just the way it works, right? The last thing I want to say, and this is real interesting. Okay, so in hypnosis, there's something called fractional hypnosis, right? Where they will bring you in hypnosis and pull you out. Bring you in hypnosis and bring you out. Bring you in hypnosis and bring you out. And by doing this fractionation, it drives you deeper and deeper and deeper into trance, right? right? I figured out they do this with songs. It's really interesting. I mean, I've never heard anybody else say this, but when you give somebody a stimulus and you pull it away, and the stimulus and pull it away, and stimulus and pull it away, it creates a deep hypnotic state. You know, it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? So what happens is you are into this television program and you're charged emotionally and you're, ooh, what is she going to do? What is he going to do? And they get your attention and you're focusing on this thing and they pull you out. And you're left in this emotionally charged position and they can drop whatever they want in your subconscious mind, right? So you're already tired, or you're hungry, or you're eating, or you got blood in your head, you're in the prime time zone, right? And they're doing this thing to you, right? They can just drop it right in your subconscious mind, boom, like that, right? And most people don't even know this coming, right? So, and I don't know, I hope they don't take this video down, but anyway, but you know, it's part of the game, man. You just got to know how this whole thing is played, right? So that's that, right? And so you're engaged in this thing, right? This push and pull, and they pull you in, and they drop it in, and they pull you out, and they pull you in, and drop it in, and they pull you out. So it's back and forth, back, and then you're sucked in, and you don't even realize it. The thing that I mean, you can watch your television programs, right? But you have to be very aware of what's going on, right? And be very aware about how your mind works, right? If you can master this, then you can master everything else. And this is really important because what happens, Neville Garden said, you know, the feeling is a secret. So you're involved in this program, man, and the girl is like, you know, she's going to leave her husband and this and that. And in the news too, man, the news is the big one, right? They at 11 o'clock, they just hit you with everything at 11 o'clock. That's the money card right there. Just before you go to sleep, man. Oh man, that bus ran off the road and it almost killed 14 children. They got away. Whew, I'm so glad, right? But you engage in this, and then they drop those commercials in and everything. And the subconscious mind works with colors, it works with sounds, it works with symbols and all this kind of thing. And they dropping all this kind of stuff on you, right? Just be aware of it. I mean, you may like, you may like a television program. You know what I mean? It may be cool. It may be excellent. You know, great acting, all that kind of stuff. But understand, it's not even about the acting. It's about them selling you a product, right? And they have to make their money and they have to sell their products, right? But the thing is, you just have to be made aware of what's going on, right? I haven't seen anybody else say this or put this out anywhere. This may get banned from YouTube. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think this is pretty deep, right? And this is something I kind of figured out. But that's how it works, right? It is, you know, they use hypnosis, they use fractional hypnosis, and everything, you know. So what does one do? You just have to be aware of it. You just have to be aware how the whole system works, how things go down. You know, so, you know, if you guys are watching this, yeah, and yes, that's right, Morgan, that's right, Morgan, that's right. What they do is they do repetition. Repetition is the father and mother of mastery, right? Bruce Lee said, I'd rather fight a guy that does 1,000 different punches than one guy that does one punch 1,000 times, right? Repetition, what you see over and over again. Example, so for example, you know, they got you in the program and then they go to commercial. And we're going to give you some the soap, right? And they pull you out again. And we're going to give you this soap. We're going to give you this soap, right? And it's repetition. They're using that as well, right? Excellent point, Morgan. Excellent point. That's right. I forgot to say about that. The repetition factor, right? Just understand that it's you. You have control over your feelings, your thoughts, and emotions. And you can't blame anybody else to a certain point for the way you act, right? If you choose to act a certain way, that's you, right? If you turn your emotions and thoughts over to somebody else, then you're just basically a puppet, right? And you know, you have to be responsible for you. Um, so, well, that's basically what I had to say. I'm having an issue with my camera and posting stuff, so I'm gonna post it this way. And I hope that you all will like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate Morgan. You subscribe. I appreciate Morgan. Thank you so much. Shout out to Morgan. I appreciate that you did that. Like I said, I'm trying to get I'm not trying, but I'm doing. And got to watch your language as well. I am I am going to have this channel at 1,000 subscribers and more. It's happened. It's already happened. And I'm speaking to existence, right? And I'm appreciating every one of you that are looking at this, have looked at this, have stuck with me thus far. A lot of times there's long periods of time between posting, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to give you some things that are different. And a lot of times I'll take my time and think about things while I work some things out, but we're going to cook this. We're cooking it. Okay? So anyway, there's nothing else. I'm trying to think of anything else I would like to say. I just really appreciate everyone. I want to give a shout out to my mentor brother, Soul Immortal. I want to give a shout out to all the brothers at the Power Circle, Brother Travis. Um, you know, yeah. How you doing, Hunter? Yeah, I think it's Hunter. How you doing, Hunter? Yeah, I want to give a shout out to everybody who supported this channel. And I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to have some real interesting things said. And like I said, I don't think anybody's ever said this kind of thing before. This is really different, right? You have to know how things work, and manifesting things, which is what everybody's interested in. Manifesting things, you have to understand what you're doing to shoot yourself in the foot. If you're looking at something and it's telling you subliminally that you can't do something, and you're trying to do something, and you wonder why it's not manifesting, it's not because the law doesn't work, because the law works. Things will manifest because when you put a seed in the ground, if you put it in there properly, which is your subconscious mind, it will manifest, okay? You may be pouring poison on it and don't realize it. You may be saying things that are countering what you have put in the ground. You may be thinking things that countering what you put in the ground. If you're saying, well, I'm going to manifest this, and you go, it hasn't manifested yet. It hasn't manifested yet. You don't see a farmer planting crops and they come along every day and then pull the crops up. Why aren't you growing? You don't see them doing that. See? And we're going to talk about the Kabbalion in the future, because the Kabbalion, if you don't have the book, the Kabbalion, you need to get it and study it. It'll teach you everything you need to know about how things work here. So the Kabbalion says, as above, so below. If you want to understand the archangels, then look at the butterflies, right? The same principles govern everything on every sphere of reality. So if you're looking at crops which are manifest, right? Crops require what? Air. And a symbol of air is mental energy. They require water. Water, the symbol of water, is emotional energy. Require fire. No, water is nutrients. They require fire, which is sunlight, which is emotional energy. They require time, patience, those type of things, right? And they require earth, right? And earth is a nurturing aspect with water, where it requires time, requires, patience. Earth is patient. It's steady. It's solid. It's something that that is like, the earth is very patient. It's like a patient mother. You have your dream and you're nurturing it, with water. And the passion is the life force that you put into your motion. You know what I mean? And the mental energy is the air, which breathes life into it, right? Understand how these things work together. You can, you create your dream out of that. And it manifests. It manifests because it is the law. When those five elements plus the spirit come involved, it will manifest, right? You've got to have patience. It may go this way and it may go that way, but only goes this way and that way because it's being divinely led. And it may need to go this way because there's something that needs to be done this way or that way. It may take longer than you think it will. It should. But patience and purpose and focus and just keeping after what you're doing, you will get there, right? You have to see it. That's the mental creation. You have to see it in your mind. So that's what I'm saying about you. Look at how farmers plant. Farmers are some of the most amazing people on the planet because they have extreme patience. If the crop goes bad, they're not going to say, oh, it doesn't work. They say, well, it's a bad crop. Sometimes things don't manifest, right? Maybe, something went left or something, whatever, but they'll give it a shot again. And eventually the crops will manifest, right? Most patient people on the planet, I think farmers are saints. I think they feed us. I think they're amazing, right? You look at them, they're very laid back. They're very cool. They're very patient. They take their time. They work on the stuff, right, Ever? Somebody asked me, am I Christian? Am I Christian? Well, I'll tell you what, that's a label, right? And I could bring up what I practice here, but I don't think it's going to make a difference right here. I practice the law, and the law says, whatever you think, whatever you feel, that's what you'll manifest. Whatever your actions are, so your actions and your thoughts and your feelings should line up. And if you put in negative, then you get a negative. You put in a positive, put in a positive. By your fruits you should know them, right? So, that's if you study, and the ancients used to sit and they would watch things. They would watch the birds. They would watch, how things moved, and watch how the sun moved and all this kind of stuff, and how creation moved, right? And they know that there's something divine, the divine law that's leading this creation. And if you follow this law and you do what's proper, you'll get the right results. If you go against the law, and people say, what is the law? You know what it is, by the results of what happens. If you do evil things, then you get evil results. And people say, well, I don't, some of these people don't get any results. Well, we don't know how people are suffering, but we know the law works. But anyway, I'm going off topic. So that's really all I'm going to have to say today. I'm going to let it go. I appreciate everybody, liking and subscribing. And if you like what you hear here, please like and subscribe. And we're on this journey, I'm having a lot of experiences, and I'm learning a lot of things from everyone. And I want to say this. So, don't slay your dragons, ride them.